and welcome to Lunchtime Politics
on Channels Television. I'm Millicent Nwonka. On the news this hour, Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, threatens to pull out of peace accord, says Governor El-Rufai's comment on foreign interference is inimical to a peaceful, free and fair election. Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai sends word to critics of his comments on foreign interference, says comment can be understood by every patriot. Ahead of the 2019 elections, Nigerian leaders call for strong institutions to strengthen democracy in the country. Welcome everyone to Lunchtime Politics. And just when we thought that the peace accord was signed, sealed and delivered, Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, threatens to pull out of the peace agreement signed by political parties ahead of the general elections, and with reason. The party reacted to the comments credited to the governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, who allegedly threatened that foreigners planning to intervene in Nigeria's election will be returned in body bags. According to a statement by the National Publicity Secretary of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Kola Ologbodiyan, Governor El-Rufai's comments are directly inimical to a peaceful, free and fair election. Here's a soundbite of the comments by the Kaduna State Governor during the interview with the Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, and subsequently exactly what Mr. Ologbodiyan had to say.
Those that are calling for anyone to come and intervene in Nigeria, we are waiting for the person that will come and intervene. They will go back in body bags.
Okay.
Because nobody will come to Nigeria and tell us how to run our country. We've got that independence and we are trying to run our country as decently as possible. And we know the history of those countries that are trying to teach us these things. We have read their history. We also know at their own stages of development, they went through these challenges. So please, let's work together. Let's advise one another, but don't lecture us.
Nigerians are still in the shock over comments by the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, who declared on the national television that members of the global democratic institutions that are working for a peaceful election in Nigeria will return to their countries in body bags. What a threat. We call on the international community to immediately impose a travel ban on El-Rufai, as well as members of his family, for this inciting comment against peaceful elections in our country. Our party is left with no option than to consider a review of its signatory in the National Peace Accord, if no action is taken to immediately curb this trend.
Meanwhile, in the midst of reactions from political parties and the international community, Governor Nasir El-Rufai is insisting that there was nothing wrong about his utterances. The governor says his comment can be understood by every patriot and that he only stood up for Nigeria's dignity in the wake of those who would traduce their country and reduce it to the status of a colony in their quest for power.
What I said is based on intelligence that is available to us, that the opposition PDP is trying to prepare grounds to cause crisis in Nigeria and inviting foreign participation. They are discussing it, they call it the Venezuelan option. They know that they are likely to lose the elections. They are putting out information that they have won. They have issued a poll showing that they will win. They are procuring the sympathy of international community to issue statements like the 3 statements, coordinated statements on the suspension of the Chief Justice, and linking that to the election as if the government or the ruling party has anything to hide regarding elections. They are doing all this to prepare grounds to protest and cause crisis in Nigeria and advance their so-called Venezuelan option. You all know what is happening in Venezuela. Now we are not going to sit and allow unpatriotic Nigerians to confuse and procure the misguided support of countries that are supposed to be our friends without sounding a note of warning to them. We welcome international observers. We invited them, okay? And we want them to be part of the process. I will protect them. But they are here to observe. They are not here to intervene. They are not here to provide the foundation for crisis in Nigeria, which is what the PDP has been preparing for. It is their ultimate last option, and we are all aware of it. Okay? This is the essence of my statement. I don't want anybody to confuse what I said to mean that Nigerians will kill any foreigner they see. No.
So would we say that the political temperature across the country is rising to a feverish pitch, and we also have heard allegations of high-level vote-buying tactics? Well, we seek answers as we're joined by the Secretary General of the Conference of Nigerian Political Parties, CNPP, Chief Willie Ezegwu. We'd like to thank you so much for joining us on Lunchtime Politics. And let's quickly ask what you make of the comments. Mr. El-Rufai, the governor of Kaduna State, he said the country will not accept any foreign interference during the forthcoming general elections. Would you say that there is even the slightest threat to our independence?
Well, thank you so much for making me to be one of your guests this Democracy Lunchtime. Well, as far as we are concerned, El-Rufai has made his comment. The whole world have heard him. So whatever defense he has now is just medicine after death. But unfortunately, he has laid the cat out of the bag. And there's no denier, no defense that can make what they have said to be withdrawn. And I'm happy the international community all over the world have heard him. And he did not, it was on a live program, not even in a recorded program. Therefore, he thought maybe he's in Kaduna State where he's governed, where he's a mini god, not knowing that he's saying something that will get across to every Nigerian who want peace, who love peace. I want to let El-Rufai to know that whether he like it or not, he should remember that during the 2015, before the APC came into government, people like us were the henchmen of opposition, and we are still in opposition today. And we managed, we did everything humanly possible when we saw how PDP was going, and we totally came in mass, and we voted Muhammad Buhari for a change. Every Nigerian will now see today whether if that kind of change is what we deserved for have voted the APC.
Let me ask again. Would you say, Chief Ezegwu, that there is the slightest threat to our independence as a country?
Excuse me. During the 2015, you remember that Obama came to Nigeria. And why did he come to Nigeria to do? He backed up the opposition. Whether any person like it or not, the international community have been coming to observe elections in every country, mostly in African countries, just to be able to see that the election is free and fair, to avoid violence, and to report what they have seen. But today, the ruling party, the APC, people like El-Rufai, does not want to do the job they used them for in 2015.
Some would argue that
what have been happening in every country.
Some would say that that's perhaps an allegation. They've indeed said that they're coming to observe the elections, and they're also saying that they're quite different from the commissions and their government, and because INEC invited them as election observers. So that's quite different. But looking at what Mr. El-Rufai has indeed said and his defense, saying, he's trying to defend the sovereignty of the country, would you say there is in the least a threat to our independence as one Nigeria?
Well, no matter how you put the statement, no matter how you say it, the most important thing is that I'm happy that you said INEC invited international observers to come and monitor the election. Because INEC has so much been accused of most of the things they are doing. In order to look very transparent, that is why they invited international communities. And I have never seen international community only said that they should be Nigerians should be very careful in minding what they say, in minding what they do. For example, you can now find out what the CNPP, the opposition group, have said so much. They have criticized the Zainab from INEC, and INEC listened and changed the lady. So many things they have called upon, like, for example, the Commissioner of Police, they posted to Kwara State, the opposition raised their voice, and you can see that whenever they raise their voice, look at it, where a child is crying, if the mom is not there, the dad is there.
Let me quickly ask.
You can never fault what they have said so far.
Let me quickly ask. Now, major opposition, the People's Democratic Party, they're threatening to pull out of the peace accord. Do you think that that is the right thing for them to do? Seeing as all parties want a free and fair poll.
Well, to me, I should advise PDP not to pull out of the peace accord. But their voice has been heard by the whole Nigerians and also by international observers and international communities. So I should advise PDP not to pull out of the accord because they have said their voice has been heard, and they are pulling out of the peace accord means they have a different alternative. So whatever happens, I should advise them they should not pull out of the peace accord.
Perhaps what your thoughts are on with regards to INEC's preparation and security situations. I mean, correspondent from Kano is saying there are several workshops, programs going on. What do you make of it? Summarily, if you can. We just have a few seconds to go on break.
At times, a lot of things being organized this way are just semantics. They will do it, but practically during the election, it will not be what will take place. We have seen it time without number. It is not only today we are seeing this type of training or workshop. It is just a semantic. And I'm letting you to understand too, well, the new Inspector General of Police, the acting Inspector General of Police today with his public relations officer, Frank Mba, they are experienced policemen, and he was in Interpol as one of the highest organ in Interpol. So I should pray that he use this to show Nigerians, for example, what they have seen in outside world where he has been working. And but then at the same time, it's not question of the training or the workshop we're having, but what they will do within the period. He should listen to the Nigerians, and he should be able to prove himself before Nigerians that he's not partisan.
Wish we had more time, but we know we'll be talking to you in the future. He says it's all semantics.